Welcome to Your Health, a podcast from the Hoosier Ag Today presents Your Purdue Extension Podcast Network, where we cut through the noise and get real about health, wellness, and everything in between. Today, we're tackling one of the most understood topics, nutrition. With so much conflicting advice, don't eat carbs, avoid white foods, skip dessert, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters. But what if eating well didn't have to be so complicated? Our bodies are smart and capable when we let them do their thing, as long as we nourish them with balance, plenty of fruits and veggies, some grace, and a realistic mindset. My guests today are health and human science educators who believe that healthy eating should be simple, enjoyable, and personal. Please help me welcome Nagele and Jessica Riffle to the program. Hello, ladies.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Well, let's just jump right into the questions. You gave me some really good information and topics to really hone in on for this session of Your Health. So I think we'll start with you, Monica, if that's okay. In an email to me, you said that nutrition is nuanced, but we've made eating harder than it needs to be. Why do you think people struggle so much with all the mixed messages about food?
They struggle because, like you said, there's mixed messages about food, but also the science is ever changing. And so I think, you heard a message one time, and so you try to stick with that message forever, and maybe some science has changed about it. So like when I say that, I think of the egg. At one point in time, we were not supposed to be eating eggs, but now we no longer recommend removing eggs from the diet because they have a lot of protein and an excellent source to be having for breakfast. But that's just where science has changed, and we've learned a lot more about our dietary cholesterol and what we need to go from there. But then with the advent of social media, and there's all kinds of people out there telling you do this, do that, and lots of times they're contradictory. And so that's where I say we're making it harder. Just go enjoy some food.
Do you think that's the main source of contention is like social media? I remember hearing one time that milk caused cancer, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, no, it doesn't. I mean, where does this come
That's a new
from?
one for me. I've not heard that one. But yes, I think today that the biggest challenge is social media and media in general, because you see a study and you pull the headline, and that's what you share with the world instead of actually reading the research and seeing what it says. And sensational headlines is what gets people excited.
Unfortunately, I think with the advent of all of the, I can't even think of the what do they call it? The AI stuff. I knew it was two letters, and I could not put those two letters together. I needed AI to help me discover what AI is. Jessica, let's move on to and talk about carbohydrates. They've been labeled the bad guy for years. What's the real story behind carbs and their role in a balanced diet?
So the big story, the real story is that our body needs carbohydrates. And so the trendy diets, the trendy recommendations that tell you absolutely none or as little as possible just aren't healthy. That's not a sustainable choice. It's not a good choice. Especially things like your brain. The best energy source for your brain is glucose, which is the little sugar pieces that break out of the larger carbohydrates in our bodies. And so your body has to work a lot harder to get the glucose that it needs where it needs to go. So yes, there are some foods that are less nutritious carbohydrate choices. Think candies, right? We're about to Halloween, November. There's more holiday things coming. But there are also a lot of really nutrient-dense choices, and those just mean like whole grains, fruits and veggies. They have those really good carbohydrates that not only give us the energy boost, but also a lot of vitamins and minerals to back them up.
Monica, you had mentioned before the show that white foods don't need to be avoided either, even for people with diabetes. And can you walk us through what white foods are, number one, and then what people seem to get wrong about white foods?
Sure, that when I teach our Dining with Diabetes course with Purdue Extension, all the time people come in and like, I can't have any white foods. And I'm like, no, that's not true. So what they're normally thinking of is white potatoes, white bread. Um, I would say that's typically the two items they're thinking of when they say I can't have white food, but cauliflower is a fantastic white food. Bananas. I think people often think bananas are yellow, but we don't eat the peel. We eat the banana inside that's white. Onions. Those are all great white food options that we can have. And the potato isn't evil either. We can also have a white potato. It provides very good nutrients for us, like Jessica said. One of our problems with potatoes, though, is the number one way potatoes are eaten in the United States is fried in the form of a French fry. And so we're getting away from a healthier version. The fiber that we need is in that skin. So having a skin on baked potato would be much better. I also like to say that potatoes especially are about the company it keeps. And so when we mash it up and mix sour cream and butter and heavy cream in it to make delicious mashed potatoes, we have now made that potato a little less healthy. Or when you load it with all kinds of cheese and sour cream and bacon, again, we've made that potato a little less healthy. Or as Jessica mentioned, it's November, so we're going to start having sweet potatoes, which are a fantastic, they're not white, you asked about white, but sweet potatoes are a fantastic food. But at Thanksgiving, we like to coat them in marshmallows and brown sugar and make them candied sweet potatoes. So again, that company these foods keep is going to be very important. But the white foods by themselves with some good seasonings are perfectly fine to be eating.
This is National Diabetes Month. Jessica, you mentioned beforehand that caring for diabetes is very individualized. You said that there are some basics, but no one-size-fits-all plan. What does that personalized care look like in practice?
So in our Dining with Diabetes classes, like Monica mentioned, we have a curriculum that's pretty standard. So everyone's getting the same information. However, while a potato has a certain number of carbohydrates based on its size and things like that, and that doesn't really change except for when you're adding things to it. People need to know more individualized plans about like the amounts of carbohydrates they need in a meal, and that can be based on past eating history. It can be based on current physical activity. If somebody shared with me, hey, I currently eat a large baked potato daily, and I feel like we're picking on potatoes now, but that's just what's been in the conversation. So I'm going to switch gears. Let's just say currently it's a Subway sandwich or another very large breaded sandwich, bread heavy, and maybe it's a foot long that they eat every day for lunch. If I try to encourage them to stop eating bread altogether, that's not appropriate, number one, too few carbs, but it's also not sustainable for that person because it's so different from a current eating habit. So it's that kind of individualized that we don't always have the time in a standardized curriculum class, nor the expertise. So Monica and I are both dietitians, but not every health and human sciences educator in the state is. And so we really want people to seek out those recommendations from medical professionals and people who can get more of a overall picture of what's going on in the background and their health history and all of those things that impact their specific needs.
What's the name of the program again?
Dining with Diabetes.
Dining with Diabetes. We're going to talk more about that. We got to take a short break, but when we come back to your health, we're going to talk more about dining with diabetes. We're going to talk about my favorite topic, desserts, and where do they fit in on all of this. So don't go anywhere.
The average American reaches for their mobile phone about 350 times a day. For Indiana farmers, that number is probably higher, as the Hoosier Ag Today mobile app keeps them updated on the latest markets, weather, and farm news information. If you haven't downloaded this free app, you're missing out on a powerful and portable resource. The Hoosier Ag Today mobile app can be downloaded at the Apple Store and Google Play, and at HoosierAgToday.com. The Hoosier Ag Today mobile app.
We're back. This is Your Health, and we're talking with health and human science educators Monica Nagele and Jessica Riffle. This conversation has been so eye-opening, ladies, and it's such an important topic. Monica, again, you sent me some wonderful things via email, and in one of them you said that healthy food tastes good. And that's such a refreshing take, and not something that you often hear. What are some of the go-to ways that you do to make nutritious meals that actually excite people to eat well?
Yeah, so I always get really bummed out when I see people posting pictures on social media of here's my healthy plate, and it's like a plate of white chicken and broccoli with no seasonings, no color, nothing to it. And I'm just like, yeah, I wouldn't want to eat healthy either if that's what my plate looked like. And so again, when I said it's about the company it keeps, there's things you can do to your vegetables to make them a little more tasty. So be liberal with any seasonings really, besides maybe some salt. And we don't want to go overboard there. But, add some oregano, some garlic. There's never too much garlic, in my opinion, that can be added to a dish. But roasting your vegetables, when you put them under that high heat and roast them in the oven, that's a great way to kind of caramelize some of those natural sugars that are in them and bring out a little bit of sweetness. And it makes them kind of crispy when you eat them. So I think that's always yummier than like boiling broccoli, because that's just also not good. The chicken, we can get some color on that chicken as well. We don't need to have plain white, boring looking chicken. And so there's just a lot of things you can do flavor wise. Salads, again, they can add lots of color to them with add some nuts and seeds, add some different fruits to the top of them, make your own salad dressing. So instead of dousing that salad in ranch, or because you're trying to be healthy using no salad dressing, who wants to eat a salad with no salad dressing? Nobody. Make your own like vinaigrette. So you can just mix some sort of vinegar, whether it's red wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar, with oil, some herbs. And then I always say you need a little bit of sugar to go in that salad dressing. So mix a little bit of honey in it, or I make one that I have a fig jam that I mix in with that. It's apple cider vinegar and oil and fig jam, and mix that and put it on some kale, and it's delicious. But you don't have to add the sugar if you don't want to, but a little bit would be okay to make it so you'll eat it. And I always say too, when it comes to healthy foods, if you won't eat it, then it's not healthy for you. So adding whatever you need to that food to eat it. So if you need to dip your carrots in a little bit of ranch to eat a carrot, then please dip your carrot in some ranch because that carrot's no good for you left on the plate.
Two takeaways from all of that. Number one, my grandmother used to boil cauliflower. It was disgusting. And the other thing is, I used to have a good friend that would use mustard as salad dressing.
Okay. Mustard's a very healthy condiment, so that's a good option.
Well, there you go. Maybe a suggestion for somebody out there. How about you, Jessica? What's one of your go-tos?
Well, I have to agree with Monica on the roasted vegetables. So that is like a weekly go-to for me. And whether it's the vegetables that I intentionally purchase from the store for that week, or some leftovers that are almost running their course in the refrigerator, it's a great way to just kind of save it all and then be able to kind of piece it together into meals or pack it for lunches throughout the week. So being able to cook big sheet pans of things like that to make it easier and convenient to eat some of those things throughout the week is huge for me.
I love those smashed Brussels sprouts.
Yes, Brussels sprouts. And that one I would have to agree with Monica, and I need just a little bit of sugar on them, but a little goes a long way. And I'm a balsamic vinegar fan. So I'm mixing that with like an olive oil or avocado oil and spreading it on proteins, spreading it on those roasted vegetables, lots of places. Very versatile.
Well, I tell you what, you all are making me hungry. Let's talk about the program Dining with Diabetes. Jessica, what is it? When is it? Where is it? Give us all the details.
Okay, all right. So Dining with Diabetes is a actual national curriculum that Purdue educators can teach all across the state. So it's probably in your county or a county very near to you. They happen all throughout the year, depending on the educator and the needs of the community. So if you've been listening and you are someone who has diabetes, you're pre-diabetic, you care for somebody who is pre-diabetic or has diabetes, feel free to reach out to your local office, let them know you're interested. They can help get you there, or maybe they're just waiting for some interest to come from their community members to offer it themselves. So this class is a 4-part series, typically happens weekly for 4 weeks, and then we actually meet with folks 3 months later. We want to check in. We want to know how things are going. And so this program is very much a cooking-based program, nutrition-based program. In every session, we are demonstrating recipes. We want you to taste the food so that you are more likely to do it for yourself. If you know it tastes good already, you're more likely to try it. And so we want to help facilitate those decisions. But the very first class, we dive into what is diabetes, what's going on in your body, how can we care for or monitor the numbers, the tests that your physicians are looking at a little bit closer, and what do those mean? So sometimes we don't get a lot of time with our physician or nurse practitioners or whoever. And I like to think of us as an extension of that
It's a good thing
care
to think of
team.
yourself.
Yeah, of the care team, just to help connect those dots for people, allow more time for questions, because those doctors and nurse practitioners, they're just so busy. I mean, everybody knows that. So just another opportunity to talk about what's going on in their body. And then after that first session, we spend the next 3 really diving into that nutrition piece of it. So week 2, think carbohydrates, alternative sweeteners. That's a big hot topic. So we talk about the safety and what each of them are used for and the benefits or places for them in the kitchen. And then session 3, we really tie in heart health, because we know that elevated blood sugar and diabetes really increases the risk for other chronic diseases in folks, heart disease being the number one. And so we address that, and we talk about cholesterol levels. We talk about sodium and how we can work to replace some of the salt that we add at the table and why that's important. And then in that 4th session, we really try to put it all together. So what does a meal look like with blood sugar and diabetes in mind? We highlight some vitamins, minerals, the importance of fiber. We touch on a lot of really good material. It's a lot of information, but usually 1.5 to 2 hour classes. So not only do people get to learn from us, but the idea is that it's a group class. And so you have the opportunity to learn from your peers as well. And I think there's a lot to learn there, experience-wise, trial and errors, just knowing that you're not alone in that diagnosis and in that progress or setbacks or what have you.
Well, as we wrap up the show, here in a little bit, we'll talk about where someone can go to find out more information about dining with diabetes and where the different locations are and all that. But first, and I mentioned this before we went to break, desserts. Monica, you promote the idea that all foods can fit. How can people build a healthier, guilt-free mindset around eating their favorite foods, desserts? My weakness.
Yes, we all need a sweet treat, don't we? And so that is one of the challenges, is we sometimes enjoy our sweet treats a little too much, but they can fit. And I like to tell the class that we're looking at 2 times a week for these desserts and or sweet treats, not 2 times a day, like maybe some of us are doing, because we do have to watch
I feel
that.
attacked.
I had a sweet treat attack yesterday myself. And so some of the things, though, that I like to tell people is there's also other ways we can get some sweetness in our diet without going for the cake or the cookies or whatever it might be. So having a piece of dark chocolate, I have a piece of dark chocolate daily to get that little sweetness I need, but the dark chocolate has such a strong flavor that it really sticks with me. So I can have one piece as opposed to 10 pieces or multiple handfuls, whatever it might be. But I also like to use fruit as my way of getting something sweet. And so earlier we talked about roasting vegetables. Well, you can really do the same thing with fruit. You can roast the fruit or grill it in the summertime. So grilled pineapple is delicious.
Okay.
Again, the grilling of it caramelizes that natural sugar that's in it and makes it nice and sweet. And you don't have to put any extra sugar on it. It just, the sweetness from that pineapple will really come out in the grill. Grill your peaches, bake apples in the fall time here. Those are great ways to kind of get some of that sweetness in, and maybe a dessert form that's not your typical cake, cookies, brownies, that sort of thing. Yogurt is another great way. We could replace maybe a nightly ice cream binge with some yogurt to get in a little sweetness, but some fresh fruit on top of it, as opposed to
I feel like you've been
to
spying on me, Monica. I don't know what's happening here.
I hate to tell you, but you are not unique in this love of sweets. So those are just some of the tricks I try to give people, but still allow yourself to have them, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself standing in front of that pantry stuffing an entire sleeve of Girl Scout cookies into your mouth one evening if you don't allow yourself to just have some every once in a while.
I hear you. Lesson received. Jessica, for listeners or for me, feeling overwhelmed by all the nutrition rules, what's one simple first step that people can take on starting to trust their bodies again?
Oh, one simple step. I think that would look like just trying to take in what you are eating in a day. What are you eating? When are you eating? And why are you eating? So kind of like a intake journal, but keep it simple. Okay, I don't do paragraphs. That's not necessary. But just kind of do a little check-in with yourself when you're snacking or when you're filling your plate. And because we have to know what we're doing and where we're starting before we can know where we need to make changes.
Awesome. Now, this is for both of you, each of you, one of you, whoever wants to take it. What about the information? How can people find out more about the program Dining with Diabetes, or even about reaching out to you as extension officers or their local extensions?
So I would say just contact your local extension office. So just Google Purdue Extension, whatever county you're in. So for me, I'm in Montgomery County. So you could just Google Purdue Extension, Montgomery County, and we each have our own individual web pages. And so that's where we advertise any upcoming programs we have. So you would find the Dining with Diabetes class on there, or you could find the phone number and contact that office about any possible classes coming up, or like Jessica said, maybe there's one in the county next to you that you could go to and visit if necessary. We all have Facebook pages as well. I would assume, when I say all of us, I would assume everybody does. But you could also Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, maybe, your Purdue Extension office, again, X county, and find out what you're offering in that specific county. But it's always good to just call and talk to someone too, because like I said, you might not find it on your county's website, but they can tell you if someone near you does. And so I offer my Dining with Diabetes class every February. I've just found that is the perfect time that people have available to come. And so if you're looking in October for a Dining with Diabetes class in my county, you're not going to find it on my website. But if you call me, I can let you know it's going to be in February, and I'll take your information down and get a hold of you when that time comes.
Which is a perfect time, because it's right after people have made those New Year's resolutions and have failed every one of them. So it's like, help me, it's February, I need something. Jessica, anything else to add?
Just encourage you to call the office. Like Monica said, your educators want to hear from you. They want to know what you want to know. So that only helps them in planning classes and giving resources. So call your local office.
Well, this has been so informational and so helpful. Thank you so much for joining me today, ladies, and I hope you have the best day ever.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Go out and get some of that dark chocolate. This was such an empowering conversation. It's a reminder that food isn't supposed to be stressful. It's meant to nourish, fuel, and bring joy. As my guest shared, our bodies are wise when we listen to them. Carbohydrates aren't the enemy. White foods don't have to be off limits, and caring for diabetes is deeply personal. There's no universal formula, just what works best for you. Thank you to Monica and Jessica for helping us simplify nutrition and bring compassion back to eating well. And to our listeners and viewers, remember, food is more than fuel. It's part of a full, balanced life. This has been Your Health, a podcast from the Hoosier Ag Today presents Your Purdue Extension. I'm Greg Allen. Until next time, keep it simple, stay curious, and enjoy every bite.